All right, everyone, welcome in. Happy Memorial Day. This is Total Bases on a Monday, your go-to show for free baseball picks right here on WagerTalk TV. If you were wondering, we're here 5 days a week, even on holidays. And so, again, happy Memorial Day. I'm sure there's going to be some people in the chat that have served this country. So thank you guys for your service. It's important to recognize that on a day like this. Some of our own, we've got Mark Zinno and some others that have served this country. So thank you for your service. Thank you for tuning in on Memorial Day. But it's just another Monday with a bunch of baseball. Actually, guys, Memorial Day gives us, they want most of these teams playing on Memorial Day. They used to make everyone play. If you go back a couple of years, Major League Baseball was like hell-bent on having all the teams play on Memorial Day. They realized it was kind of tough to do that with everyone's schedule. So we get most of them. So we get 12 games today, a pretty packed slate, starting at 1 p.m. all the way till, I believe, a 10 o'clock start out west for a Yankees team that kind of had to hang around in Colorado for a while yesterday. So why don't we start there? I don't know if it's a feature game by any means, but it's certainly the shelf life game here for us, right? Yankees, Angels. I'll start with Bryan Leonard. Welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. And what do you make of the Yankees having to sort of wait it out in Denver yesterday? Now they head to what was a very hot Angels team up until Saturday.
Yeah, I really liked a couple plays on the Yankees game, but I knew because of the weather, it was going to have a hard time getting in. And so I didn't want to have to deal with that all day long. But now that they're out, I'm always concerned when teams leave Colorado, Cincinnati, Sacramento, and go to a normal hitter's ballpark. That kind of throws me off a little bit. If you've been there for 3 or 4 days and you've been swinging a good bat, which the Yankees have, not as good as Philadelphia, but maybe they took some mercy out on Colorado. But they got Yarborough going today. He's a lefty, and he's a guy that'll give them some length, but he's more of a fifth starter or a guy that you bring in with a starter and lets him finish the games. But he's had pretty good success over the years. I'm not a fan of Kachanowicz of the Angels. He got off to a pretty good start, but I haven't been on him. In fact, I've probably avoided him for most of the season. We're getting a total of 9.5, and I went over the weather today, and the only game in which the weather is going to have any effect at all is probably in Kansas City. So if you've noticed, the last couple of days, in fact, I read a tweet about it, and I forgot to write it down, but I give them some credit. But the last 2 days, based on how many games were played, had the least amount of home runs in a long time. So that I think a lot of that had to do with the weather across the country for the last week. A lot of rain, a lot of cold. So I think now we're going to get on a pretty good run here for this, at least this week, with the weather, and we see some overs here. Would not surprise me at all to see this game go over. I don't trust either starter that well, and although the Yankees bullpen now is, even though their closer didn't look good last time out, they're pretty set in the bullpen. They've got a lot of guys back.
Yeah, Ryan Yarbrough, for some reason, my numbers like him, but I've never liked him. He's very unreliable, always switches between middle relief and spot starting, and just not a reliable guy, in my opinion, but my numbers have him ranked really high. But then Kachanowicz, not good at all. I got him. He's throwing about 81% amount of walks as he is strikeouts. Bad rate. The Angels bullpen, I've got him ranked on a curve of 30 at 24, where I got their bullpen ranked 23. So Angels are fixing to give up some runs today, I imagine. I got the Yankees lineup ranked 6 out of 30 teams, current form. So the first thing I looked at, because the Yankees bullpen is so good, instead of the game over, I would prefer to just focus on the Yankees over. And of course, the books beat me to it. It's 5.5. So 5.5 is pretty hard to take, especially when they're traveling overnight. Yeah, these guys are used to traveling, so I don't put too much emphasis on that. But, they're human beings. Tired is tired. I don't know if they're going to explode like they did against Colorado, but 5.5 seems a little high. I might alt this down to 4.5 at -140 and take a team total there instead of the game total.
Yeah, I think I referenced it last time Kachanowicz popped up on this show. I feel like, so he was last year they just kind of rushed him to the big leagues. I believe he went straight from AA to MLB. I don't think he spent any time at AAA coming up. I do think he maybe made a start or two at AAA toward the end of the year, but he's essentially had pretty much no time at the AAA level. He went AA right into the big leagues, and that's very tough to do. There's another guy that's pitching today, Hayden Birdsong, that the Giants did something similar with, and you could start to see now, like, it just took him a while because you're trying to figure it out the big league level. It's so much different trying to figure out how to get hitters out at the big league level as opposed to like spending 5 months at AAA and try to figure it out down there. So I think with Kachanowicz, you just kind of see some of like the growing pains. To me, he probably is a good candidate to maybe go spend some time at AAA because I do think he has the potential to be a serviceable big league starter. But that's kind of what I see right now is maybe a guy that I don't know should be like, it's not a guy I really want to back at the big league level against a team like the Yankees. So I did play against the Angels yesterday. I felt like they rested Ohapi and Neto and a couple other guys. I felt like they kind of put like a reset lineup out to an extent. Like they had a very good week, right? Go back to last week, swept the Dodgers, it played so good against the A's. They win on Friday night against the Marlins, lose a game on Saturday. I felt like they looked at Sunday's game against the Marlins and said, you know what? We need to reset here, regroup going into this new week. So I guess, like them a little bit because they gave some guys a day off yesterday. Thought about Angels plus 1.5, but I'm just not high enough on Kachanowicz to probably get there. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, they finally brought up Caden Dana yesterday, but they brought him up to pitch long relief. I believe he followed the starter. I don't understand that. He's your best starter in the minors. He's your future. And you send him back down to the minors, or you let him put you out of the bullpen when you got Kachanowicz taking starts. That's a little weird to me. I would think you'd want to put your best future starter in a position where he can start in the major league level as opposed to coming out of the bullpen.
Brian, follow-up question for you on that. The Angels today wake up 25-27. So yesterday they were 25-26. Do you think they look at like their needs right now and have just said, hey, we need a plus arm in the bullpen? Because that to me is the Angels' biggest issue. Really, I mean, their issue is pitching, but really the bullpen is not very good. I wonder if, and he struggled in the starting role the last couple, like maybe month and a half at AAA. So I wonder if there was like, going to him and say, hey, we think you can help the team at the big league level out of the bullpen. Are you open to it? Because I felt like that was very interesting as well.
Yeah, he didn't pitch well in the starter's role last year when they brought him up. So maybe it is. Maybe they've just decided that at this point, they'll see what they have with him. And going up against a guy in our Yarborough has a lot of that experience. Maybe he can learn from the opposing pitcher in that game today. So, yeah, maybe that's what they're looking at. But we'll see how it goes. The Angels have been very streaky, as we know, all season long. And we'll see what happens here. But they're playing a very good offensive team, even though the Yankees are still missing some pretty good bats.
Jack Falk says, Triggs look different to me. I don't know what it is. So I kind of shaved and messed up. So I had to like kind of shave it off. So back looking like a high schooler for probably the next 3 or 4 days till it grows back in. That might be
getting carded.
I get carded. I bought I was buying
Seriously?
High Noons over the weekend and I get ID'd. Oh yeah. I'll be 39 in July.
Yeah.
For those keeping score at home. But yeah, I still get carded everywhere.
My wife got carded the other day. We went to a race, and she's 7 years younger than I am, but still she's an older woman. But they carded her, and I said, my wife's been older than this company. We're going to have dinner with it, so it's. But she kind of liked it, so I said, they do that to everybody. I'm sure they do.
All right, from the last game onto the board to the first game. A couple of people asking about this one, and Vegas says Tigers money line is a trap. They are struggling with right-handed pitching, lost 3-4 to the Guardians this past weekend. Bryan Leonard, first game on the board today, Tigers Giants. Do you agree? Is Tigers money line a trap?
I'm kind of looking at San Francisco here. From a starting pitcher standpoint, we know what we get out of Montero. He's a fringe guy, number 4, number 5 starter, maybe quad A starting pitcher. Birdsong is taking over in the rotation for San Francisco, and somebody made a comment today, since it's an early game, you know how the bird song gets the worm. Maybe he fits better in the morning here, but we'll see how it goes. But he's a highly talented starter, and they've expected a lot out of him. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Detroit, they will have, since they are facing already, their best hitter will be in the lineup and probably leading off. But that's the concern anytime Detroit is in a game, is they don't trust him to hit lefties. Now, they have let him hit lefties a little bit more lately, but if they pull him halfway through the game, that's pretty bad when your best hitter gets pulled halfway through the game. But prefer the San Francisco side here. I like both these teams, but I think Birdsong's the better starter out of the two. So it's like I always say, it's early in the morning here for me. I am making first looks here in the morning. Although I did put out a 5% play today for clients. That's up right now, 5% first half total. Don't know if we'll get to this game or not, but it's up there right now for you. I like that one all along, but this one I'm leaning San Francisco. Haven't got there yet.
Speaking of what we have out today, I have a plus 195 3% play out today. I love it. I think it's going to cash. Nothing like turning 3% into 6%, right?
I was going to say, you hit that. You hit more than the 5%ers, TB. There you go.
Exactly. But yeah, Brian's been hot. So grab Brian's 5% as well, for sure. Regarding this game, yeah, my numbers like Birdsong a lot, but the sample size is small, so I don't really trust my numbers that much. But San Francisco has the much better bullpen. And up to about, I'd say 5 to 7 days ago, Detroit was one of the hottest lineups out there. Now they've fallen in current form to 20 out of 30 teams, where San Francisco is 23 out of 30 in current form. So under would be the only way I would go in this game. And I don't trust Detroit's bullpen. I don't trust Montero. So I guess the only way I would go would be a Detroit team total under. Unfortunately, I just looked and it's 3.5 at plus 112 on Pinnacle. Nah, I don't really like to take 3.5 unders in Major League Baseball. So maybe game under 8, perhaps. But I probably won't bet it.
All right, since we're doing the promo thing now, I also have a 5% play up. I went 5-0 yesterday. I've now got 6.
We're shilling.
So let's just get it. We'll just get over with now. But yeah, I do have a 5%er as well today, and it's in the afternoon for what it's worth. So if you're looking for some daytime action, I do have a 5%er up. I think most of the games are actually during the day today. It's like the perfect day of baseball because they're all scattered. Like they're just all over the place. This is what every Friday should look like. I'm not going to go. I know we're talking about a game here. This is what every Friday Major League Baseball should look like. 1 o'clock start, maybe a couple 4 p.m.s. That MLB makes a big mistake by not like taking that Friday, because a lot of people get out of work early. They're maybe out for, Cubs never have a problem putting fans in the seats on a Friday. Why not a couple other teams? There was a whole bunch of people at the Red Sox Orioles game last Friday, and it was a shit day. It was cold. So anyway, that's my pitch. I doubt anyone is watching for Major League Baseball or they care what I have to say. But if I was running the league, we'd be playing day games like today all day on Friday. As far as this one, I want to go to Sean in the chat. Giants rookie pitcher in his second start. Hayden Birdsong made 16 starts last year. This was the guy I was talking about a second ago. He got called up early. So the Giants really were desperate for starting pitching last year. He made like 3 or 4 starts in AAA, or I think maybe like 2 starts in AAA. And they said, all right, you're good. We're ready. And they threw him right into the fire. So I actually think he's very undervalued from last year's numbers, because he wasn't ready for that. I mean, he was like just thrown in there on a team that was actually half decent at the time. Because if you guys remember, the Giants didn't really start to really fade until like the middle of the year last year. And he just kind of had to learn on the fly. This year, they needed him to pitch out of the bullpen. They had so many good starters that he was just kind of odd man out as far as like the rotation was concerned. So yeah, I don't really consider him much of a rookie at this point. He got a lot of experience last year. He's been filling a role for them this year. And so I think he's just now kind of sort of graduated into the spot that he was always supposed to be in for them, which is a starting pitcher. So that's the comment I'll leave on that one. But
Just
yeah,
because
both two
you've
very
never heard of some. Just because you've never heard of someone doesn't mean they're not good. Milwaukee's got a dynamite pitcher. What is his name? Henderson? No one's ever heard of him. He's pitching lights out. So don't shy away from people just because you don't know their name.
Yeah, and listen, you got two really good bullpens here. I think Vegas also made the point, like, this is a great game. Like, these are two really good teams. The Giants continuing to prove that they're one of the top teams in the National League. The Tigers, what more do they have to do? They've sort of come out as one of the best teams in the American League. So a great game to get the day started, in my opinion. Two really good baseball teams, really good bullpens, a young starter in Birdsong. And then like I've said a million times, like Montero, AJ Hinch is a mastermind. So he could, I wouldn't, sometimes he throws an opener before Montero. So be careful of that. But yeah, it should be a really good game. Mark Kinson, good day, everyone.
Yep. Henderson, my mistake.
Yes, it was. He threw over the weekend. He threw the ball well again. So yeah, there's some young,
3 great starts for him.
For sure, TB. There's some young pitching, and that's sort of how the game has changed. I'll let Bryan Leonard comment on it. They used to bury these guys at the minors. Now, if you got it, now they're all worried about, like, is this kid's arm going to fall off at age 22? We got to get him up there and get those innings before he blows his arm out and has Tommy John at 23 years old. So yeah, they don't waste any time with pitching anymore. They're right to the show.
That's right. They and it's the same way for the most part with the hitters too. They try to get them up there because, as we've seen, most of the time when you bring up a hitter and a pitcher, but you bring up a hitter, first time he struggles, then you send him down. The next time he comes up, everybody forgets about him. And then that's not the time where he usually has success. We're seeing it out of Henderson for the Orioles yesterday. He's starting to come around. A lot of people had written him off. So a lot of these guys that have been sent down to the minors for the first time, don't forget about them. These guys are still really good players, and they had a tough time in their first bid in baseball. And it happens with pitchers too all the time. And yeah, everybody gets all excited to see these guys come up there, but it's a learning curve, especially since COVID, going from AAA to the majors. So it's nice to like all the young players, but keep in mind it's a learning curve. And if they don't find success the first time out, usually they do the second time.
All right, we'll stay with Mark Hinson and give him a game here that he wants to talk about. This is one's tailor-made for this show because we've got Andrew Heaney, who Tokyo Brandon earlier this year, I think, said would have a better season than Corbin Burns. We may have to revisit that. He's not up against Corbin Burns here, though, but he is up against Corbin Burns' team and Ryan Nelson, a guy that I've always been kind of high on. But I don't know. I may be pumping the brakes just a tiny bit there. So we'll let TB gather his thoughts. We'll go to Bryan Leonard first, and then to Tokyo Brandon. Pirates, Diamondbacks, Chase Field.
As I'm looking up the numbers as we speak here, did anybody see that home run yesterday by O'Neill? Oh, my God. What a shot that was. What was it, 120 or something?
Bryan, does it make you think, how is it possible that this team is not competing when you've got Paul Skeens and O'Neill Cruz on the same team?
Yeah.
Like, how can you not find a couple other warm bodies that can do enough to make you a competitive team with those two guys on the same team? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of teams that got a couple good players. We see it all the time in the NBA, and then they got nobody around them. That's the problem, is they got the guys and they're young, so they don't have to pay them anything in Pittsburgh. But once they get to the point where they have to pay somebody, then they need to really worry about what they want to do. Andrew Heaney comes in with a 2.91 ERA, 1.13 whip, but his expected ERA is 4.37. So that's more in line with what he has done in his career. He's been around 12 seasons. He's been very good. His fastball velocity is not there. He's only in the 4th percentile in that. But he can get people to chase, and that's a good thing. He's in the 74th percentile of that. So we like Heaney, but he is looking for probably some regression, negative regression in that regard. Ryan Nelson's a guy that, there's a lot of people that really like him, and he always seems to be the guy that's being left out. And every time Arizona has an injury, they think that's when he's going to take over. He also has some problems out there. His average exit velocity, 3rd percentile, chase rate, the 8th percentile, expected batting average of 14. So people are hitting him well. Comes in with a 4.60 ERA, 4.28 expected ERA. His whip's not bad, 1.19. So we got to get a guy here that is liked by the experts, but he's never had a ton of success. In his 4 seasons, he's 20-16, 4.57 ERA. There's a lot of guys that can do that in the National League. 4.57 is a little bit high. So, but I like him. I like the situation here for both these guys. I think they'll both have some success overall. But there's that negative regression out there. So 9 is the total. Did open 9.5 to the under. I can understand that. Probably not going to get involved here.
Tokyo, before you go, I just want to say that sounded like a backhanded compliment. It really, like, I wanted to point out, you've really kind of been right about Haney so far. So to this point, he has been really, really good. I think, like, I almost fell out of my chair when you said he would have a better season than Corbin Burns, but this was back early April. We're in almost to the end of May, and so far he might have something there. So are you backing your guy Andrew Haney here on the road?
No. Yeah. I think he's performing well. He's basically like the Corbin Burns. I mean, nobody likes the name, but he's actually outperforming his expectations. And I was high on him for what I expected. Let's put it that way. I don't think he's an upper echelon. I don't think he's a lead or anything. Here's an interesting fact that I dug up while I was researching this. And I'll just tell you the way I'm going to go on this. I did put out a play. I'm betting Heaney to have more than 1.5 walks in this game. And 4 starts, he has 12 walks. That's 3 per game, or 3 per start. I broke it down even further. The Diamondbacks are walking 2.58 per game per 9 innings. And Haney is walking 2.5%. All of that adds up to more than 2, in my opinion. Over 1.5 walks was -1. I think it's great value. I think it's a great bet.
What was the price on that?
-110 when I saw it on DraftKings.
TB, do me a favor. Just reconnect your mic. Your audio is going in, out, in, out. I think that's okay. So. Yeah. Try say. And what was your lean again there? Because I think you cut out for all of us.
Can you hear me now? Andrew Haney over 1.5 walks.
Over 1.5 walks. Yeah, that's much better. For as far as the audio is concerned.
Matter of fact, I'm going to make that my parlay leg today. Andrew Haney over 1.5 walks -110 was on DraftKings about 2 hours ago. I don't know what it is now.
Andrew Haney over 1.5 walks. Find a price on that for me. That will be the first leg of the parlay. And I know some people, that is -110. All right. So
yep.
Some people might not be able to play that, but if you don't have that at your book, it's totally fine. You can always just play a 2-teamer. You can still ride along for a good amount of it. I know we had a couple people have a hard time getting down on some of these like prop type plays if they don't have a DraftKings, but it's all good. You can always just play a 2-teamer. We got to reference the parlay. Did I blow the parlay on Friday? Did you guys both hit your legs? The Orioles ended up losing by 100 after they had the bases loaded, like in a spot with the tying runs on base in the 8th inning, and then they ended up losing by like 20 runs. And then they played good all weekend, which is very frustrating to me. But I think I may have killed the parlay because I feel like both of your guys' legs hit on Friday. So that's my bad.
I believe you were right. But
yeah,
okay.
I think you guys
got to learn to lay off those Baltimore Orioles and play those Chicago White Sox.
We're going to talk about that in a second. That's where we're going next because we got people commenting on it in the chat. As far as this game's concerned, the Pirates +1.5 is tempting. If that comes down like 10 cents, the Diamondbacks take quite a bit of money at home on a regular basis. Even though I've kind of been like high on Nelson over the course of his career, it's always relative to market. So Ryan Nelson is someone I've liked because he's typically priced as like an undervalued commodity. In this range, with him starting to creep up toward like -$2 or whatever it is right now, that's where at least it could go. I'd have to look to play against that. So Pirates is sort of on my shorter list today of options. When I got on, it was ±0.5 or +-1.5, -130. I think if that was in the -115 to -120 range by game time, I'd have to consider it. I've got Heaney and Nelson sort of similar right now. And the Pirates, I thought they played okay over the weekend. Couple missed opportunities. Couple one-run games. It was a pretty competitive series. I don't think that, I think they could come out and potentially hang around in this game. So the 1.5 with the road team there might have some value. Yeah, Mark Kinson, we'll stay on his comment, but G Hurt, our guy G Hurt is in here on Memorial Day. Appreciate you showing up. He's always in here. He says White Sox with a couple W's. Mark Kinson is like, Trig, I was so happy for you over the weekend. The White Sox were winning. Guess how many times I bet the White Sox this weekend, guys? Guess. The answer is 0. So I did not make out. I think my last White Sox bet was at some point last week, but I think the point is, hopefully some of you cashed with that, because the point I've been trying to make is they're going to be undervalued almost on a daily basis because of where they've been in the market the last couple of years. And so, yeah, if you played White Sox over the weekend, took two, they covered the +1.5 every single game against the Rangers, took 2 of 3 in that series. You go back to the Mariners series, they won the second game, covered the +1.5 in the third game. So they've cashed their run line +1.5, which has been a playable option 5 straight games in a row. That being said, this is a little bit of a step up in class right here, guys. White Sox now on the road against the New York Mets. I think we're inching up toward a $3 favorite here, Brian Leonard. What are you seeing, Mets, White Sox?
Yeah, and I'm interested in the White Sox here. The Mets are about a 320 or 295 to 320 favorite. But take a look at the Mets schedule since the beginning of the month. They started off with the Diamondbacks, probably the second best team in that division. Then they played the Cardinals, a team that's outperforming what anybody thought they would do. Then they faced the Diamondbacks again. Then they faced the Cubs. Everybody's talked about how good the Cubs are. Then they had a 3-game series with the Pirates. They won 2 of those 3 games, but they were outscored at home versus the Pirates. So that was definitely a letdown situation, and they survived it by winning 2 out of 3, which is even better because they probably didn't know they had that letdown situation. Then they played the Yankees. Then they played the Red Sox. Then they played the Dodgers, and they finish off the month against the White Sox and the Rockies. This has got to be one of the biggest letdown situations that you're ever going to see, especially after beating the Dodgers the last 2 nights. They were not looking to see who they're going to match up with in the White Sox series after they played the last 2 games against the Dodgers. That was big for them. So I'm looking for a way to play against the Mets here. Obviously, they've got the better team. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to take a look at it each and every day. You got to take a look at the schedule and see what game people are going to be excited about. And if you take a look at the StatCast numbers here, we've got Adrian Hauser, who just signed just a little while ago. Only had the 1 start, but he was very good. 1 game, he threw 6 innings, 2 strikeouts, 0.83 whip, 0.00 ERA, expected ERA 3.76. He's got a great extension in the 92nd percentile. His barrel rate's been good. He's a serviceable pitcher, especially in the Chicago lineup. They've got some really good starters here. If only they had more good bullpen guys, they'd be all right. But Clay Holmes going for the Mets, and Clay Holmes has been great. No problem about that. 3.13 ERA, 1.24 whip, but his expected ERA is 3.61. He's been a little bit lucky on the season. Now, he's a great ground ball pitcher, but he doesn't have any extension at all. He's only in the 8th percentile in extension, 31st fastball velocity, 32nd whip. So he's been good, but this is just a terrible spot for the Mets here. Got to find a way to play Chicago before the show's over.
I think you're muted, TB. Check your mic again.
Dang it. Can you hear me? Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. This is weird. I can change my parlay leg if you want me to. There's a money line plus money line that I could change it to if that makes it easier for everyone to bet. We can get to that later.
Yeah, we can revisit that later.
Sure. Regarding this one, I have these two teams pretty almost equal. Mets are not hitting very well, and the White Sox are actually hitting better than the Mets in current form. The huge difference here, I have both pitchers fairly equal. They're both ex-relievers who are trying their hand at starting. Obviously, Holmes has a little more under his belt, but that doesn't mean he's better. The big difference here is the bullpen. I think the Mets bullpen is heads and shoulders above the White Sox. Head and shoulders above. If anything, maybe the White Sox first five here, maybe take a chance on it, but I certainly would not trust their bullpen. Their hitting is a little better than the Mets according to my rankings, but not much better, so I probably won't bet it.
Adrian Hauser is a starter by trade. I know he kind of got thrown in the bullpen at certain times, but that's really just because he's never been a super elite starter other than that 1 year in Milwaukee, but he is a starter. I'll share something that, this is kind of when you're grinding out AAA bets on a daily basis and you watch these broadcasts, they're full of good information. The reason why is because typically the guy calling the AAA game that they throw on the mic is like someone that also has another job within the team, right? Because like they don't employ, like AAA is like you got to be on a budget a little bit. So a lot of times the person calling the game might be someone that does some front office stuff with the team. And so you get like, they got to fill 9 innings BSing about stuff. And sometimes I feel like they come on air and say things that like, you're like, oh, that's like great intel, right? Like that's something that, you're not going to find in writing somewhere. The reason I bring that up is I'm watching Round Rock, and Adrian Hauser, the start before his last start with the White Sox, threw a complete, well, they took him out. He threw 8 2/3 of like shutout ball for Round Rock. And I was watching the Round Rock broadcast the next day, and they had to waive him. And they were talking about like how the Rangers were almost like, they wish they kept that. They wish that he didn't do that because they wanted to re-sign him on a new minor league deal. So it was really more of a logistics thing for them. Like, he probably was either out of options. So he needed to like clear waivers, and they really wanted to bring him back on a new deal. The AAA broadcast even like said they were really hoping that they'd be able to re-sign him. Well, the White Sox stepped in and said, sorry, we're going to make an offer. For Hauser, it was probably a no-brainer because he knows he gets to pitch innings at the big league level, and where he's at in his career right now, he wants to be, in the big, throwing MLB innings. And so that was, I thought, a really good signing for the White Sox. He comes out and pitches great last week against the Mariners. So he's got more than one good start. He was throwing the ball great, at least for a start or two at Round Rock. Brian, I mean, plus 1.5 is plus money here. Plus 1.5 is plus 120 on the road. I wouldn't put anyone off of that. That looks like a pretty good play.
I'm actually looking at the first half's plus 1.5. Circus got it at minus 115. FanDuel's got it minus 118. Let's do that. Let's go with the Chicago White Sox. First half plus 1.5. Anywhere from 115 to 118 is the only two I'm showing right now up on the screen.
So that is a White Sox plus 1.5 for the first 5, right?
First 5, correct.
And that's what'd you say, minus 118?
15, 18, yeah. 18
minus 115. All right, yeah, that is I mean, that's kind of you don't see plus 1.5 for the first 5 very often. You will start to see it. You will start to see it when you start to get some of these lopsided games. I'm sure Yankees, Rockies had one yesterday, right? Some of these like big time favorites, you'll start to see it. Yeah, Hauser's been solid. I don't hate that one bit. The White Sox are swinging hot bats, so that's a good call. I like that a lot. All right,
of course you do.
Can I?
Go ahead, Brian.
Markinson's got a good question. He says, "Why are Sunday games so fluky? It's almost like anyone can win day." There's 2 reasons. Number one is it's getaway day. meaning teams have plans. They've got their flights leaving at a certain time. They've got all their dinner things going on. And also on Sundays is usually the day that they let the bench players play. So depending on how strong your bench players are, you'll see on a Sunday, there'll be 3 different hitters in a lineup that normally don't play. That's because it's Sunday and they want to keep these guys fresh, at least play them once or twice a week. That's why Sundays are always, to me, I hate laying big favorites on a Sunday. I did have Detroit yesterday as a play. I thought it was just an obvious play. Cleveland can't hit lefties, and we got the best lefty in Major League Baseball on the mound. But that's why. And that's why Sundays is usually a good day to play underdogs.
Yeah, and like that's kind of what I was alluding to yesterday. I mean, I didn't have a play on the Marlins until an hour and 10 minutes before the game. Angels put a lineup out, and I said they're going to rest their best hitters today, basically. So it was something that was on my radar. Once they did that, it was like, it was like a no-brainer to me to just jump in. I felt like I was getting the team I would have taken anyway against a lineup that was down like arguably they're two of their better hitters. So that happens on Sundays a lot, and beware of that happening today. A lot of teams might but this is going to be like a second Sunday for a lot of teams because typically there's not a full slate of day games on a Monday. So you may see teams approach today very similar. Especially the teams playing the day games might approach this sort of like they would approach Sunday, give a couple guys some rest. So yeah, lineups are important. Definitely, as always they are, but especially in the day games today. So yeah, that's good stuff right there. All right, we'll go to another day game. I'm going to bust this hat of the day. Do you guys know what this hat is right here? And it's very patriotic. It fits. It is, let me get it in there. There we go. Do we know what this logo is? It's a W. Any guesses?
I can see that. We see the W, Adam. Looks like Washington Senators?
It's actually an interesting guess, but it's not 1930. So this is a team playing right now, TB. Anyway.
Minor league.
Hat of the day, minor league cap of the day it's the Worcester Red Sox. And the reason that I wanted to bust it out, because I've got a great little American flag print that I got a couple years ago on 4th of July. But B, there's a very important Worcester Red Sox that is now a Boston Red Sox. And we're going to talk about Boston, Milwaukee. Marcelo Mayer has made it to the show. Hopefully his boy Roman Anthony is following him, because I've sort of been waiting for the Red Sox to bring up those two, especially after Cassis went down. I know they don't play the same positions, but like Mayer and Anthony have been the two of the best hitters at the minor league level all year. They're both absolute studs. I think they're an instant bump for the Red Sox. As soon as they can find a way to get those guys in, Mayer comes up. Red Sox Brewers today. Brian Leonard, what are we looking at? Crochet and whoever it is for the Brewers. Who's starting for the Brewers?
Chad Patrick.
Chad Patrick.
I've never understood. How do you spell Worcester?
It's Worcester. But most
That's
people.
Worcester. I have a friend in Boston. I go, we're driving. I go, Worcester. I was wondering. He goes, that's Worcester. I go, no, there's a city in Ohio, Woostr. That's how you spell Worcester. Never understood that.
I think, and also I think I have the hat of the day, not you, Adam.
You always have the hat of the day. That is.
Brett Michaels going for Boston, as you mentioned, the lefty. Milwaukee's been pretty good against lefties, I believe, in this season. Let's look at Milwaukee. Yeah, 9-8. They got a better record against lefties than righties, and 17 times means they've seen a lot of lefties. So that's an advantage for Milwaukee in this one. Patrick's been very good. These young guys that Milwaukee has brought up are looking really well, and their number one draft choice is down in the minors. Their pitching guy. Can't pronounce his name, but he's a hell of a pitcher. But he's going to be up there. So I really like the future of this Brewers team. The offense really hasn't hit much this year. Boston's more of a veteran team. I trust the Boston hitters in this matchup. I like both the pitchers. The total's at 7.5 here. Somewhat like Boston, but it's over 150 in just about everywhere right now. And I don't know if I can get there. 150 means they've got to win the game 60% of the time for you to win. For you to break even. 150 is 60%. So slightly into Boston here. I like their hitting better than Milwaukee, especially right now. But I like both these pitchers.
So I do like both of these pitchers as well. As a matter of fact, I have Garrett Crochet ranked right about 9 out of 250 starting pitchers. So, and that's not on a curve. So he's having a great season so far. We knew he would, though. He had a great season last season with the White Sox, or was it the season before? Anyway, he pitched well with the White Sox. We knew he would be good with the Red Sox as well, and he's kind of coming into it, having a great season. Patrick, also, sample size is much smaller on him, but he's pitching really well. 2 bullpens struggling a bit. I don't really trust either one, to be honest. And Milwaukee's lineup, mediocre to sub-mediocre. Boston's lineup, pretty good. I have them top 10. But I think going under in this one somehow. I don't trust the bullpen, so I would probably make this under 4 in the first 5 or under 4.5, whatever you can get for a good number. But I think first 5 under, because I think both of these pitchers will come out pretty strong, despite Boston's good lineup and Milwaukee's mediocre one. I think 4 is a manageable number for the first 5 here.
I kind of like where the Red Sox are going right now. The Mayor call-up, like I said, I hope to see Anthony up there soon as well. I just think that those two could inject some life into what is a pretty good team. I will probably look for a spot to play them in this series. Unfortunately, I'm just not getting the price I really want here. Although I can't say that it's not warranted. Like, I do think you have Crochet on the mound. Like, he's a deserved favorite. I've talked about Chad Patrick quite a bit. I think he's serviceable arm at the big league level. More is just like a 5th starter type guy. He's not someone that I'm like really scared to play against in a lot of scenarios. So maybe the parlay league for me. I'll have to think about it. I don't want to lock it in right now. I do like Crochet. I think the Red Sox are a deserving favorite here. I just don't know if that's the way I want to go, but my numbers kind of agree. They do like the Red Sox here. So we'll revisit that. And fun fact of the day, Worcester Red Sox, they used to be the Pawtucket Red Sox, or the Paw Sox. Sad day for the people of Rhode Island. The demolition of McCoy Stadium started yesterday. So that ballpark was there forever. And they essentially lost the Paw Sox to Worcester because they couldn't build a new stadium. So they moved the franchise, I think, 2021. It's a gorgeous ballpark, Polar Park, Worcester, Mass. If you get a chance, absolutely a place you should check out. It's a very cool spot. But yeah, it sucks for the people of Rhode Island.
The 6 people in Rhode Island are very disappointed.
Rhode Island's a great place. Don't no shade on Rhode Island here.
I'm from Arizona, so what
nice
can I say? You know,
go ahead.
We don't
Bryan.
have many people.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Sean Michael's been in the chat. We appreciate your thoughts, Sean. He really likes Detroit in this game, but he's using information that was from last year. He said that the Tigers hit 3 home runs off of Birdsong, something that happened last year. And he's talking about Carpenter, Turkison, and Dingler have 1,000 average against him. Small sample size.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in baseball. There's guys out there hit a home run 3 times in a row off of Randy Johnson. That doesn't mean in the next 1,000 times they face Randy Johnson, they're going to have success. It's all small sample sizes. I understand your like for that, which is fine, but there's nothing out there that's ever been proven that those small sample sizes work.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Like, and the other thing I think point you can make, especially with these young guys, is you can't discount how important an off season is after you get some time in the big leagues and then get a chance to go to spring training, sort of knowing you're going to be considered for the big league team. I think that's where you see a lot of these younger guys take a step, right? The year that they get called up, they make a little name for themselves, then they go into the off season and then in the spring with the big league club. And it's like, they feel like they belong a little bit. I think that's always like interesting to see the transition from year one, when it's like, okay, you impressed and then you got your shot, to what do you do in year 2 now that you're like sort of part of the plan. And I think he's done sort of, better than expected. I don't know that they expected to get this type of production out of him from this point. So it's an interesting point, but at the same time, yeah, I do think he ended up facing the Tigers like early in his career, and they saw him well and they hit him. So that's why we sit here and argue on these shows, right? Like it's the whole, if this was like, if you could get this down to a science, we wouldn't be here arguing games. Everyone would just know who was going to win. That's the great part about, wouldn't be able to bet. All right. Mr. Cash in the chats wants to talk about Cubs Rockies. He likes the over 8 in that game. Brian Leonard, Cubs Rockies, another day game here. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah. I never know where we're going to for 5 seconds before you tell me. So,
Yep.
Okay. The Colorado Palmquist, the lefty they brought up, he's going to be getting the start against Tyon. Big favorite for the Cubs. They're anywhere from 299 to about 320, 333 at the Heritage, I guess. But, Colorado on the road is somebody I don't want to play on. I've talked about that in the past. Luckily, they're not playing a lefty. They're 1-15 now against lefties. So that's a positive for the Colorado Rockies. I don't want any part of the Colorado Rockies on the road. I said it before the season started, and they just backed up that thought process for me. But I can't lay that kind of number. Like I just said, these Sunday and Monday games, like the situations we're in today, it's tough to lay those big favorites. Like I said, I did yesterday on the Tigers, but I'm not going to do it here. I'm passing on that one.
So who's Palmquist, you ask? Well, this is his first season with any major league statistics, and he only has 8 innings, 8.8 points, 8 1/3 inning under his belt, and he was not very good in those 8 innings. And well, to his credit, he faced Philadelphia and Arizona, 2 pretty power-packed lineups, but he's walking more people than he struck out in those games. And the Cubs are on par with Arizona and Philadelphia as far as lineup is concerned. As a matter of fact, I have the Cubs ranked number 1 in MLB right now with their lineup. And Taillon, not exactly, a guy who is elite by any means. He's not even good, in my opinion. He's very mediocre inning eater, not exactly reliable. You don't really know what to get from him, but he's certainly better than Palmquist. And I have the Rockies ranked very low in batting, very low in bullpen, and with an unreliable starter. I think the Cubs team total would be a good way to go here. I think it was only 4.5 too. And I think that's pretty low for this one. I don't care where the wind's blowing. You give me a bottom tier bullpen and a pitcher with 8 innings of experience who got bombed in those 8 innings. I think the number 1 lineup in Major League Baseball can do a little damage on him. So over 4.5 for the Cubs for me.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I do think it is going to be a weird day where one of these big dogs, like one of these huge dogs, is probably going to win one of these games. That being said, like, and I echo your sentiments on Taillon. I don't. He's the guy on this Cubs rotation that I'm fine playing against. I can't agree with you more, TB. He's kind of mediocre. He's a veteran. Like every once in a while, he's gonna have that veteran effort where he goes 6 or 7 good innings and probably ups his stock more than it should be. But have no issues playing against Taillon. The problem is Palmquist just. They have no direction in this organization. Like this Rockies organization, Brian's talked about it a ton. They guys get up to the big league levels and they just have they struggle because there's just no direction in the organization whatsoever. He's another guy, like he was lights out when he was at AA in Hartford. He got to Albuquerque and he started having to pitch in altitude. Not very good. Started this season was a little bit better in Albuquerque. And they said, you know what? We're 8-43. So like, let's just call these guys up, throw them into the fire at the big league level. The problem is the fire for him has been Diamondbacks, Phillies. He's drawing like the top lineups in the league.
Cubs.
I don't know that it gets better here at all. I could see an over in this game. Maybe I'll have to check the wind. I don't know where the wind is going at Wrigley today, but
don't matter.
I could see some runs. I could see some runs in this one. So I don't dislike that. That's how I'll call it. Runs in Rockies Cubs, I think is possible. All right. the press conference. Might be new here. First time I've seen him in the chat. So appreciate all you guys. Yeah, I got a shill for the likes and subscribes. I can't believe. So first of all, shout out to the chat. It's a holiday. You guys could all be sleeping in, and we're approaching 1,000 live viewers. So appreciate you guys for getting up on Memorial Day and spending your time with us. We very much appreciate it. We're going to do this show 5 days a week, and we can continue to do that if you guys keep liking, subscribing, and showing up. The press conference says Orioles game. Let's talk about the Orioles. I did ruin our parlay with the Orioles on Friday, but a lot of the stuff I talked about sort of shook out over the next couple days. On Saturday and Sunday, the Orioles split the doubleheader on Saturday, I believe, if memory serves me correct. They won the game yesterday. I called the Trevor Rogers call up, and he was awesome. Didn't expect that, and they kind of screwed me. I was hoping they used him. I was ready for them to use him behind the Friday start, behind Povich, and they didn't. And then the Orioles blew it late in that game. Rogers came in, and it was his best effort in an Orioles uniform. So no question, the Orioles they got the juices flowing a little bit over the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they carried that into this game. The problem is it's Charlie Morton on the mound for the Orioles. Not exactly the guy I want to back, and they used some bullpen the last couple days. So I'll go to Brian Leonard, Eric Fed, Charlie Morton. Do the Orioles keep it going today, or are we going the other direction here?
Well, I won't be betting the Orioles, but I agree that I think their offense is now showing some signs. The Orioles came into the season. I knew their pitching staff was going to be terrible. I knew their hitters, well, I thought their hitters are going to be great. The second part hasn't turned out yet, but they do have a lot of talent there, and I've seen some signs. I don't know if I still trust or if I've ever trusted any of the Baltimore pitching, but I think the hitting is coming around here. St. Louis has been a good hitting team on the season. They've done a lot better than what we thought. And we've got Eric Fedde going on the mound. His ERA is 3.77, but his expected ERA 5.12. The only positive in the red on his StatCast page is his extensions at 71%. Everything else is below league average. And when you're talking about below league average, you're talking Charlie Morton. He's been a guy who has been a starter for almost his entire career. This is the first time in 3 years he's pitched out of the bullpen. That I don't think helps them at all, because we got a guy who, we already know that these guys are on they're set. Athletes are set in what they do. They like the things a certain way. And all of a sudden, after pitching, this is his 18th season, he's been pitching as a starter for the majority of that. And now he's coming out of the bullpen here. He's starting here. I don't like it. You look at all of his numbers. They've been terrible numbers all season long. His pitching run value is in the second percentile. His fastball run value, third percentile. Breaking ball run value, second percentile. The best thing he does is he's in the 47th percentile on his off-speed run value. He is not a good pitcher anymore, and they're breaking him between the starters and the bullpen. I don't like that at all. I think we're going to see some runs in this game, and it would not surprise me if both teams have a good offensive day.
Yeah, Fedde, his surface numbers are good, but if you dig deeper, his expected numbers are not very good. It means he's probably been getting a little bit lucky. I have him ranked in the bottom 1/3 of all pitchers, but Charlie Morton is close to dead last. I think, what was it? Kyle Gibson, I think I have last, but Charlie Morton's down there near him. Kyle Gibson's not even in MLB right now. So
yeah, they parted ways with him the other day.
Yeah,
so
he's not even playing anymore, but he was dead last actually. Looking at the Orioles bullpen though, they're atrocious right now, ranked 25 out of 30. Cardinals bullpen, not great, but they're very mediocre, ranked 15 current form. Cardinals have been hitting the ball really well recently, and the Orioles are above average too. I would agree with Brian that we're going to see an over somehow, but the only way I see this going is Cardinals winning like 9-6. One of those kind of games is what it looks like to me. One thing about Fedde though is he does go pretty deep in his starts. I give him credit for that, but he doesn't deserve a 3.77 ERA. I think we're going to see that ERA around 4.3 by the end of the season. But yeah, this looks like a 9-6 Cardinals kind of game to me.
Well, I very much agree with that. And this is going to be my parlay leg. I'm going to go Cardinals, Orioles over 9 minus 105. Eric Fed's our guy. We watched a ton of him in KBO.
NC.
Former MVP, former KBO MVP with the NC Dinos. He really went over there and developed a sweeper that he's been able to come back. And I mean, this was a guy that after the Nationals and had some shoulder issues, like he was all but out of MLB. He went over, dominated that league, but more importantly, developed a sweeper that has come back and played at the big league level. That being said, I do think that like the league has started to figure it out just a tiny bit. But the Orioles are very good against right-handed pitching, especially at home. They've hit right-handed pitching well at home. Bryan talked about like the offense a second ago. You can start to see the offense coming around. I felt like they were having good at-bats pretty much across the board in that Red Sox series. I really feel like the last 2 days, the Orioles played some of their best ball of the season. Like, actually having reasonably good at-bats with runners in scoring position, generating scoring chances is something that they weren't doing the last couple of weeks that they started to do. On the other side, they might give up 9 on their own today. The Orioles could not be in a worse position. Isaiah Scurry in the chat, horrible spot for the Orioles. Yeah, he is 1,000% right. They played on the road at Fenway. They were in Fenway yesterday on the road. Their doubleheader got rained out on Friday. So they went to the ballpark, geared up for a doubleheader on Friday. They rained the second game out, had to play a doubleheader on Saturday, used a whole bunch of bullpen arms. Yesterday, they're in the lead, so they need some of their better arms to close it out. Now you're going to ask Morton, he might give up 10 on his own. You never know. He's that's the type of guy he's been this year. And then if he's out early, you're into the bullpen. The Orioles may give up a whole bunch of runs, but I don't think that it's impossible to think that they are in this game because of their offense. So I'll call this. This is my parlay leg. We are going to go Cards Orioles over 9. I think it's going to be a run fest in Baltimore today. Cue up the 2-1 final where Eric Fed goes 7 scoreless. No, I really do think we see runs one way or another. Tokyo Brandon, are you good with Andrew Heaney over at 1.5 walks for your parlay leg? Are you okay with that?
If people can bet it, I like it. But if they can't, I have a money line play that I will put in there if they want. I don't know. Brian,
you're gonna stick to. Here's the deal. You're gonna stick to one leg. So you either have to decide if your leg is Andrew Heaney walks, which is fine. If they can't bet it, it's on them. They can play a 2-teamer. Because we can't have like 2 different parlays floating out there.
Sure. So, no, I agree with that. But if no one can bet it, I'll change it, is what I'm saying.
Well, here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do.
Hope one wins.
You guys,
we're gamblers.
Here's what we'll do. We're gonna keep it for today. We're gonna keep it for today. But you guys in the comments on YouTube, just give us a shout and let us know if you could or couldn't get that parlay leg in.
For the future, it'd be nice to know what you guys can get. Because I live in Vegas, I can't get any of that stuff. So
if you're in Vegas, or you're betting on PP,
which is so ironic. People in Vegas are the most limited in the world, which is weird.
Yeah. Or if you're betting on PPHs, they might not have it. But if you're in like the DraftKings FanDuel stage, you should have no problem getting that in. So Chad, I'm going to read the parlay off right now, and then we'll try to get one more in at the gun for you guys. But the parlay is set. We have Tokyo Brandon, Andrew Heaney over 1.5 walks, minus 110. Bryan Leonard is on White Sox first 5 plus 1.5, minus 115. And then my leg is going to be Cardinals Orioles full game over 9, minus 105. That is the 3-teamer. And we will tweet it out as well because we've got a great looking graphic to go along with it now. So we will always tweet out the 3-teamer before it goes off. One more at the gun. We got to, it's fitting. Bryan Leonard's on the show. People are asking about the Guardians. We can't go a show without talking about the Dodgers. So it's the way we've got to end it. Guardians, Dodgers. What do you got here, Bryan?
Well, I don't want the Cleveland hitters against Yamamoto. He's just been terrific this year. Not quite as great as he was earlier, but still he's a guy that's going to give them trouble. They just faced Skubal yesterday. Cleveland's terrible versus lefties. They are better versus righties, which gives them a slight chance here. But money's come in here on Cleveland. The opening line showed the dog at 150. Now it's down to 135 and 130. So some people like Cleveland. Gavin Williams, I'm just flummoxed by him. One day he looks great, everything is working. The next day can't find the plate. Dodgers have a lot of experienced hitters. They'll take a walk. That concerns me here. I'll watch the game and see how Cleveland's hitters do against Yamamoto. But other than that, I wouldn't trust anything with that team right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers have been underperforming considering all their talent, but I got Yamamoto ranked as, a top 20 starting pitcher in MLB. He should be ranked higher than that. Bullpen, Guardians have a slight edge. Hitting, Dodgers have a slight edge. Guardians are hitting the ball okay, mediocre, but the Dodgers are only ranked 11, so they're not really whacking it that well either. The thing with the Dodgers is Teoscar Hernandez is back, and I feel like he's kind of the heart and soul of that lineup. When he's gone, they still have their big three, but they need guys like Pages and Conforto to step up, and they haven't been. I mean, Pages has turned it on a little bit recently, but Conforto and Edman, they're not hitting at all. So, yeah, it's hard to back the Dodgers. Maybe a Cleveland team total under, perhaps, but 3.5 again. MLB 3.5 unders. I don't really like it, and I don't really trust the Dodgers right now. They're not the juggernaut that they were, that everyone expected them to be. They're kind of underperforming their talent level. So until they catch a bit of a fire, I might hold off. One thing to note is Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman both have tiny sample sizes, but good numbers against Williams. So maybe their hitting props would be something to look at, but I'm not going to officially bet it.
All right, Tokyo, we have way too many people that can't bet a walks prop, so we definitely need a different leg for the parlay. So while you're thinking of that leg, we'll close the show with that leg. I kind of agree with Sean here in the chat. Like, I picked the wrong comment. His comment was basically like, his comment was basically like, I don't really trust the Guardians lineup against top tier pitching. I just clicked on the wrong comment for him, but that's the one I agreed with. I could see the Guardians getting wiped out here by Yamamoto. And
let me give my next leg right now. Okay.
Yeah,
so you guys can't do the Heaney walks. If you can do it. But here's mine. I like the Miami. We didn't cover this game, but Miami Marlins on the money line. I have them ranked better. I have them ranked better in almost every category over the Padres. The Padres stink right now. So plus 125, Miami Marlins on the money line is what I'm going to make my leg.
I also use that game is my free play up on the site if you want to get another free play from me.
Yeah, listen, we're very pro Marlins on this show. I've said all year that they are probably one of the teams that I think the books have had the toughest time with in terms of like a price on them. They're sort of another one of these like constantly undervalued teams. Ton of young talent there. I believe this is Weathers, who kind of had to start the year down. He was on the IL, then had a little rehab. I know Brian's really liked Weathers a lot. I think you cashed a bet with him maybe a week or two ago. So I could get down with that. The Padres, man, I know they bounced back a little bit over the weekend, but they're going through it right now. They are not clicking offensively right now. Go ahead, TB.
We've got 1,033 people watching right now. Amazing. Thanks, guys.
We really appreciate the likes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. But yeah, the San Diego Padres, even over the weekend, they took 2 of 3 from the Braves, which was huge for them considering they came in. I believe they came in on 6 straight losses. They still only scored 8 runs that whole series. So even though they just took 2 of 3, the Padres hitting woes are still very much a real thing. They're just not horrible with runners in scoring position. And it's really tough to explain because the guys in that lineup are talent. I mean, they've got Merrill back. You would think this lineup should be going full force, and they're just not right now. So yeah, I see some value with the Marlins there. I don't mind that, TB.
It's going to boost the percent there, having a plus money leg in there. And if we cash 1 a week, we're going to make some money, guys.
Yeah, we've I mean, that's basically what we've been doing so far, kind of averaging one a week. I believe the show parlay is up sort of like 14 or 15 units since we started to do it. I'm going to rerun it with the new money lines, and then I will announce it one more time. And again, listen, if you can get Tokyo Brandon's Heaney walks over prop in, just play it straight. Like that's, it's still just because people can't get it in doesn't mean it's not a good bet still. It's just a lot of people that either bet offshore, global, local, or Vegas, they just don't have those options. Not like and the other thing too is a lot of, if you're winning, you're probably not getting much down on that on DraftKings either. So we'll try to keep it main market for you guys. And so the parlay one final time, and then we'll get you out of here. We have Miami Marlins plus 125 full game money line for Tokyo Brandon. We have White Sox first 5 plus 1.5. That's minus 115 for Bryan Leonard. And then I've got the Cardinals Orioles full game over 9 minus 105. And for whatever reason, I just closed my screen. I don't know why I did that, and I lost the price. So bear with me here 1 second, and I'll announce it again. And we're going to tweet out our new graphic. So if you missed it, head over to us on Twitter. We'll always post it. It is plus 721. So that is a 7 plus 721 parlay. Marlins, White Sox plus 1.5 first 5. Cardinals, Orioles, full game over 9. Really appreciate all you guys joining on a holiday. We're here 5 days a week, so we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Bryan and I have 5%ers up, so go check that out if you're so inclined to do so. But we appreciate the support. The likes and subscribes are enough for us, and we'll see you on Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Happy Memorial Day, and hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend.